Good evening, everybody. Welcome to CALLOUS Invitational 3 Winners Bracket content. This is the final Winners Bracket match of Round 4. The other three have already played, and this will determine the final spot in the top 4 of the Winners Bracket, which is an excellent place to be. That would be one match away, rather, from guaranteeing money in the tournament. So these guys are getting really close to that point, and this match could have a huge impact on the ultimate outcome of the tournament. So we have Astamatitos on the bottom and Elodin, who, I don't want to discredit him or insult him in any way, but I don't think he was most people's pick to win this tournament or to go really deep into this tournament. So Elodin, a bit of a surprise, a bit of an underdog story, has had a really good start. Both of his more famous fellow Brazilians, Tama and Dexa, are both already out, but it is Elodin who is still around and still in the winner's bracket and in a really good position here if he can beat Asta. That's a pretty big if, since Asta is, the best. If he can beat Asta, he'll be in great shape. Elodin's had a tough road to get here. He already went through defending champion Cowboy Dan, and he beat Roro. So that's going to give you confidence that Elodin is capable of beating anybody. But Asta is one hell of an opponent. Here is game one. So it is Asta on the bottom. He's got a Metagross. Elodin is on the top. He's got a Salamence. These poke are mutually threatening to each other. And the bulky water is going to come in for Elodin. It will not come in for Asta. Asta goes to Zapdos, maybe thinking that the Ments would have gone for Earthquake there, but that is not what happened. And they both end up switching again. We have Celebi on T-Tar now, which again is a potentially mutually threatening matchup, but Elodin gets out of the way. Fire Blast does land a burn here on the Coon. That's a little bit unlucky. If it has Rest or if Celebi has Heal Bell, it's not the end of the world, but it's still a nice little tempo gain for Asta. Goes for Surf here, so probably not an offensive Coon. Some offensive Coons do have Surf, but Hydro Pump is the more common move in that scenario. Thunder Punch 32%, and he does in fact have Rest, so that will negate the burn. But I mean, the burn did force him to rest earlier than he probably would have wanted to. So like I said, even though the burn is gone, it did give Asta a bit of a tempo advantage by forcing that. So here's Hidden Power. That is going to be probably HP Grass, and it's going to be not very effective against Celebi here. Leech Seed comes down, and it's just going to be a boom. So that is going to be a net trade. The Metagross and the Celebi are both going to be gone. Hard to say how important the Celebi was to the team. That's very much dependent on what else Asta has. He's going to show Lax here, so that's something you would want Celebi against. Leech Seed, very annoying against Lax, but Lax does switch out of this matchup nonetheless, and good thing that he did, because there is a Brick Break there from Salamence, who, by the way, is not gaining leftovers, so that very well may be a Choice Band Mence. Claydol, previously unrevealed, is going to come in for Elodin. That's going to come in safely on Thunderbolt. It could be a Magdoll team for Elodin, kind of looks that way. Asta overpredicts by going for Thunderbolt for a second time. Not huge punishment, just a 25% Psychic here. Zapdos takes that fine. And at this point, Zapdos goes back. Both players have a Coon, it seems. Asta shows his now. Just comes in for the first time, so we don't know what it might want to do. Lax comes in for Elodin, so similar teams. Not identical by any means, but a couple of key overlaps here in that they both have a Lax and a Coon. It certainly looks like Magdoll to me for Elodin. I think his last is going to be Mag. Critical hit Surf for Asta there. 32% return back, but yeah, that crit definitely helped. That's going to put pressure on Lax here, and he's going to have to decide whether he wants to rest or whether he wants to boom. I don't know what kind of set he is. That's an interesting switch for Asta that he goes to his own Lax there. I don't know how great that would have been had Elodin simply gone for self-destruct, but I guess Asta had the read on him that it was not a boom set, and he felt that he was switching in for sure on a rest, and as it turns out, he's right. Asta definitely catching some breaks this game. Body Slam gets an immediate para on Salamence. That helps since it's a Choice Bander, and he relies a lot on his speed. He does get the Brick Break off through the para, 69%, pretty good chunk. However, Salamence is not as fast as this Lax because of the para, and as such, He's not going to get a lot more use out of it, but Elodin still sees more than 0 use apparently. Despite the Salamence being paralyzed and at 7%, he's going to pull it back anyway. And more switching is going to lead us to a Swampert on Lax situation. Swampert being the last poke previously unrevealed for Asta, and the final poke for Elodin, which I feel very confident is going to be Magneton, is unrevealed. But the hacks are going to continue for Asta. He'll land a critical hit Focus Punch here, and he'll kill Snorlax in the process. Asta is good enough and hard enough to beat without catching breaks. And Asta, when he's catching hacks and getting favorable things to happen to him throughout the game, he's already had 3 or 4 pieces of hacks in this relatively short 20-turn game. That makes it really, really hard to beat. Asta's a great player, so I mean, fantastic player who is getting the better end of the luck. That's tough for anybody to overcome, and indeed Elodin is definitely behind right now, but he's not out of it. He is down, well, technically 5-4, but this Mence is damn close to dead, and I don't know how useful the last poke Magneton is going to be either, if it is indeed Magneton, as I feel that it is. So it is essentially a 5-3, because this Mence is just going to die to the next anything. But it is technically 5-4 right now. Psychic blanking on T-Tar here. No Pursuit on the way out. We know he's a special Tar. He's already shown Fire Blast. And here he's going to opt for Hidden Power Grass, which would have hit the Coon or the Doll super effectively. But it's good enough against the Mence when combined with the Sand when he's at that low of HP. So now we do have a 5-3. Hidden Power and Surf respectively. Elodin fishing for some hacks of his own. Crit would have been really cool there. That would have killed the T-Tower, but it does not come. Coon being withdrawn now. And Pursuit makes it so there's no more Coon. That's going to go down as well. And the last poke is, in fact, Magneton from Elodin. That does not seem good enough in this position. But it will get 1 kill for starters. There goes the T-Tar. Zapdos going to be the response here. Interesting. Zapdos, I believe, dies to a Thunderbolt here. But Elodin not confident. He goes to Claydol. Thunder Wave aimed at Magneton there is going to blank on the Claydol. Whether or not the Claydol can do anything meaningful to the Zapdos is a different discussion. We know that he at least has Psychic. And Elodin gets a nice little switch here. He gets the Magneton in on the Swampert. He's going to have HP Grass here for it to matter at all. And he just goes straight Thunderbolt there, which is going to kill the Zapdos when combined with the Sand. So that was a nice prediction. There's been a couple nice predictions in a row for Elodin. But this is all going to be for nothing unless he has HP Grass, which we simply do not know. Elodin gets out of the way here. Interesting that he didn't think he could kill the Lax from 31%. Maybe he thought he was going to come up just short and then get either Boomed on or Earthquaked on. But Elodin blows up here after avoiding the Hydro Pump. Last poke Mag actually has more than 0 chance here if he has HP Grass. Oh man, that's anticlimactic. And we're going to find out here that he does not. It is not very effective on the Coon, so obviously it can't be HP Grass. That is the much more boring HP Ice or HP Fire. And I believe that means that Elodin cannot win. Because Asta should be able to heal the Swampert up well enough to where... Yeah, I mean, a critical hit there actually would have been enough. I don't like this play from Asta. He did a similar thing last round where he does not maximize his lefties gain. He could have lost there. What I think Asta should have done is go to the Pert, gain the lefties, go to the Lax, let that die, then go back to the Pert after the Lax dies, gain lefties. Pert at that point would be out of range of a critical hit, and then he absolutely cannot lose the game. It's a lock for Asta if he does it that way. So he's pushed his luck twice in this tour, begging for crits. They haven't come. He hasn't been punished for this, but Asta in the late game twice has not maximized his Swampert lefties in this tournament, and that's something I took note of in his previous match as well. But, like I said, not punished for it, and Asta will take down game 1. So it is going to be on Elodin to rattle off 2 in a row, or he will fall to the lower bracket, and Asta will be our 4th member in the top 4 of the winner's bracket. Game 2 coming up next.